Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're all having a great day. Recently, I did a video about a gentleman that blew up his Tesla because he was mad that he got an over $22,000 battery repair bill. And I wanted to discuss a video that a company called Gruber Motors did here. I will link to their channel down below. It's a really cool channel, and it gave me some interesting insight into stuff about electric vehicles, in particular the batteries. This gentleman over here was going over how their batteries are put together, and he did his best to try and estimate what the cost of the Tesla Model S pack was. Was Tesla really ripping this person off, or was that actually the cost of the battery? And there's something, even regardless of the answer to that question, that I want to discuss in this video. But his estimate was that the cast aluminum tub, or aluminium if Dave Jones or Paul Daniels are watching, which is going to be holding about 1,200 pounds, is about $1,000. The steel lid is about $250. The fire blanket, approximately $360. The rails outside, about $330. The cells themselves, if you're talking about high quality 18650s, really high quality ones, and you're talking about over 7,100 of them, that is probably going to come out to maybe $2 a cell, which would be $14,208. 16 battery management boards at about $125 each would be about $2,000. The main battery management system is going to be about $900. Contactors, about 2 of them at $340. A $340 pyro fuse. Shipping at about $2,000 because that is a very heavy battery. And the labor is going to be about $1,000. He came up with approximately a total cost to Tesla of $22,728 to replace the battery in your vehicle. Now, if that's the case, then that means that Tesla really is kind of giving you this battery at cost. Even if you were to say that's not cost because the labor is $1,000, they should be putting that battery in for, I don't know, $10 because labor should be free or whatever. If you're one of those people that's always like, like just the cable people that always wants their repair to be $5. I could go on for hours about that. But let's say you take that out. It's still $21,728. The emotional impact when you hear $22,000 versus $21,000, it's not really going to change much. Now, as I said in my initial video, I do not blame Tesla for the fact that a high-end electric car battery is going to cost over $22,000. I'm not blaming Tesla for the fact that producing a lithium-ion battery costs money. It's not like somebody else has figured out how to make these batteries for $200 and Tesla's charging $22,000 for it. That's not really my main point of criticism. My main point of criticism is in not necessarily supporting people who are willing to do component-level repairs that you are not, and also just the fundamental idea that for the end user, it doesn't matter if it's expensive because the actual components and the commodities themselves are expensive, or if it is expensive because the company's marking it up. At the end of the day, a $22,000 bill for your average everyday consumer is $22,000. Why it's $22,000 doesn't necessarily affect them, nor does it change their opinion as to whether or not they should or should not purchase an electric vehicle. What they see is $22K, and they need to make that decision, knowing that in 10 years, this electric vehicle will be, there's a good chance of it being a brick if they don't pay $22,000. Now, what I liked was the way that they covered this in an article on autoevolution.com. I liked the wording that was used. What I liked is that this is not an outlet that is regularly going over right to repair on every single article that they do. They just cover things in the car world, and they use certain phrasing that just kind of demonstrated to me that right to repair is finally starting to make it into standard consumer consciousness again. So it said, we have reported here the case of Donald Bone, who would have to sell a kidney to repair a Model 3 by replacing a battery pack for $16,000. The electrified garage fixed his car for $700. It involved just repairing a broken nipple. Here's the important part. If there are shops interested in this kind of service, why not give them the information, parts, and tools to support the mission, as Tesla fans so often claim to be the case? It would only be logical and coherent. So when they say support the mission in quotes, they're throwing shade at the fact that they will say, well, we need to save the world, we need to save the environment, while simultaneously criticizing anybody that suggests that you should be able to repair the vehicle. And they also said that selling new battery packs is probably the most cost-effective service Tesla can offer. It demands little time from its technicians compared to the work they would have if they were to dismantle and fix these packs. However, it is the best solution for the company and not its customers. They understand, they recognize that this is the best solution for the company, not the customers. Because there are people out there, whether it's Rich Rebuilds with Electrified Garage, or whether it is Gruber Motors, that are open to opening up a pack and offering you a solution that is not as perfect, It's not as perfect as replacing the entire pack, but it can still be a repair. Again, to be clear, there's a difference between doing some garbage like reflowing a dead GPU, where you know that shit's going to come back in a week, where you're not actually fixing the main problem, and opening up a battery pack with old cells, finding the cells that are in the worst condition, and then replacing that with a set that are not in that condition. And then seeing, does this pack work well? If it does, putting it on the car and allowing it back on the road. There are shops that do this. Is this as good a repair as getting every single one of those 7,000 plus cells replaced with new cells? No. Is this more economically viable than replacing the entire battery on a 10-year-old vehicle? Yes. And there are people out there that are more than happy to have a repair done that is not as perfect, so long as it is something that will last and that will work, if it means that they're paying $500 or $2,000 or $3,000 rather than $22,000. And a frequent criticism of these companies and many more companies that are starting to take part with these practices is that they don't often want to help support shops that are interested in that type of service. This line, why not give them the information, parts, and tools to support the mission? I think you know the answer to that one. Again, when it comes to Apple or when it comes to any of the companies with stuff that I work on, I understand and I respect that they do not want to fix the motherboard at component level. That makes sense to me. That is not my problem. My problem is not that they don't do it. The issue is that when we try to do it, they do everything in their power to keep us from being able to do our job. If somebody releases a schematic that allows me to do my job, they will go after that person, in spite of the fact that these schematics being available have never led to a knockoff of a MacBook. You can go to VinaFix right now and find full schematics for the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Has anybody out there come out with a 16-inch MacBook Pro that's like a MacBook Pro and kick their ass because the schematic's available? No, because you need much more than that to create the product. When I want to buy a chip, or they figure out, oh, Lewis is able to buy the charging chip, let's tell Renaissance they're not allowed to sell it to anybody else, so we can't get them anymore. It's this kind of ridiculous, petty stuff, and you hear it over and over and over again from companies that love to talk about how green they are, yet the moment somebody actually tries to refurbish one of their products, it becomes increasingly difficult, and people will come out that will actually defend the practices that keep us from being able to do what it is that is actually green, which is fixing stuff rather than just adding to your wallet. And I'm really happy to see that people are waking up to this more and more often, that when this is covered, I see it covered with this type of rhetoric being used, where they are skeptical to ideas like, you're supporting a mission by buying from the company. I appreciate what they're doing to get more and more people to want to adopt electric vehicles. I think it's cool. But that's great, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it than just producing the product. There's also doing everything in your power to ensure that that product can be sustained. And the thing that bothers me with Tesla is, I love electric vehicles. I don't, whether it's a car or a scooter or a bike that I put together myself. I've opened up my BBS HD motor on this channel to fix it several times. I love the simplicity of them, and I love how long they last. I just love, instead of having 1,000 different little parts, it's very simple. It's beautiful. It works. It's silent. It doesn't puff out any shit at me. I love electric motors. They're great. And the thing is, they're not inherently less fixable than internal combustion. Just fundamentally at their core, they are not less fixable. The problem is that the companies that are now making these devices are making them with a 2022 mentality rather than with a 1932 or 42 or 52 or 62 or 72 mentality, when we actually respected your ability to repair your own products. So they're making it more difficult. And what that does is it causes normal, average, everyday people to associate, oh, that's an electric car? They're inherently hard to repair. When what bothers me as somebody who understands the technology is that I know that that's not the case. They are simpler. There are less parts involved. It is easier to work on it, which is why it drives me insane that there are companies out there that are creating products that are actually more difficult to work on. Not because they're more complex, but because they don't support the independents that actually do want to get their hands dirty and do the real work and dig in to do component level repairs the way Electrified Garage would, the way Gruber Motors would, or the way that I would. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As I said, I don't blame Tesla for the battery pack being $22,000. If somebody else were able to make a lithium-ion battery pack for a high-end, fast car that was reliable that was good quality for considerably cheaper, I'm sure we would have seen that out of General Motors, which with the Chevy and the, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that their cars blowing up in driveways recently. Or I'm sure Ford would have done it by now. I'm sure Nissan, or Toyota, or Mercedes would have done it by now. The technology isn't out there. I can't blame Tesla for the fact that 18650s are $2 for them instead of 20 cents. But it would be nice if they would expand the definition of supporting the mission, making it easier for independents to be able to work on their products. They are a leader in this space, and other companies are looking at them to figure out how to behave going forward. And I hope that going forward, they behave better. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. See you in the next video.